Microsoft clarifies even more about the Xbox Series X, doubling down on its performance. Let's get into it. What is going on, guys? Dealer back again with yet another video talking about some more Xbox Series X details, this time brought to us verbally by Xbox's Jason Ronald. I wanted to cover this for two different reasons. For one, it is the first verbal confirmation of the architecture, power, and more. The efficiency of RDNA2 reconfirmed here. Secondly, there are still people that don't believe this thing is 12 teraflops navi RDNA2. Believe it or not. As a matter of fact, now people say you can't even compare these things to things on PC, even though Digital Foundry did it all the time. And, you know, it's kind of funny how that works. After all, Digital Foundry did commonly compare Xbox One X to the 6 teraflop RX 580, and they pretty much ran pretty identical performance in many cases, right? There were even some cases where the console could actually stretch its legs a little more at 4K because of its increased bandwidth over the RX 580, but of course, bottlenecked by that CPU, it would never be able to hold the frames. But Xbox Series X is a different animal, and yes, it will rival an RTX 2080 Super, 2080, all that good stuff. It is insanely powerful. Jason Ronald speaks on that power and much more in this interview. I figured I would let you guys hear this interview for yourselves. It is, again, the first verbal confirmation of all of this stuff. And if you notice, Major Nelson almost accidentally says the price of the box in a way. Let me know if you guys catch one of that. But hey, I'll jump out of the way so you guys can enjoy the interview. Hit the like button if you enjoy the content here. Of course, subscribe, all that good stuff. I may pop back in the middle of the video somewhere in there. Let's get into it.
Hi, it's Larry here of Xbox Live's Major Nelson. Welcome to the show. I am excited. We're doing something a little bit different today. Joining me is Jason Ronald, who is the partner director of program management, project management. We'll just say he's the kind of working with Phil on Xbox. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Larry.
This is exciting because, you know, earlier this week we had some news. Phil had a blog post, and I know we've been talking about that. And I wanted to get you in the studio to kind of give you some context because, sure, Phil's head of Xbox and all the team has been working on this, but your team really specifically is on the engineering side, you know, is talking a lot about it in 12 teraflops. So let's talk about some of the news that we announced. Go through that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited to start sharing more and more details about what we're delivering with the Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
And as part of Phil's blog, we really focus on our vision of Generation 9 and what we expect to come with the next generation of Xbox.
Right.
And that's everything from the new level of power that we're delivering, unlike anything that we've ever seen before, as well as pairing that with innovative speed.
Right.
And really making sure that we're focused on getting the player to the fun as quickly as possible. And then obviously our continued commitment to compatibility and really building upon what we did with Xbox One and taking it to the next level with Xbox Series X.
Now, some of the stuff we announced earlier this week in this blog post by Phil, which I'll link into the comments, but we talked about. We got 12 teraflops, so we confirmed that. Which, can you give folks an idea of what? You know, that's a big number, I guess. I don't. You know, they really don't know what teraflops is. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, teraflops is an easy way to describe the overall power of the system and the GPU. But in reality, we actually view power much more expansive than just teraflops itself. We put a lot of innovation into the Xbox Series X, and the real magic is going to be the integration between hardware and software to not only use the raw capabilities of the box, but also to use it in the most efficient way possible to make your games even better.
Now, when we talked at the top of the interview, we talked about 12 teraflops and all of that. Can you give us a little bit of scope and scale of how that relates to Xbox One today?
Absolutely. So from a raw performance perspective, you can think of 12 teraflops as 2 times the performance of an Xbox One X.
Okay, so the world's most powerful console today, Xbox One X.
Exactly.
This is 2 times more powerful.
Exactly. And it's actually more than 8 times more powerful than the original Xbox One.
Right.
So it's a massive increase in overall performance. But not only that, but with the new RDNA2 graphics technology that we've leveraged from AMD, it's actually significantly more efficient as well. So it's a much more high performance box, and what you'll actually see in the titles that ship on Xbox Series X will be unlike anything that you've seen before.
Yeah, I mean, when we made the announcement earlier this week, I was kind of looking through of all the details. I was looking through some of the gaming forums. People are like, you can't build a gaming PC like this today at like almost any price, right?
Absolutely. And that's the thing is, we have a great partnership with AMD, and we're really leveraging the bleeding edge technology from them to make sure that this console is really designed for the future.
And again, that's what consoles are all about, because the developers, they, certainly PC gamers, we love our PC gamers, but a console, your developers are writing for us. They know exactly what the specs of this thing are. The read-write speed, the graphics capabilities, they call what we write to the metal, I believe is what you guys call it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've also really focused on how do we make it as easy for developers to basically ship their game on PC, on console, and with Project xCloud. So we're really focused on making it as easy as possible for developers to reach the largest audience of players, and really focus on making the best game possible.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes into that. We talked about variable rate shading. Now, what is that?
So variable rate shading is actually a technique that allows a developer to really focus the power that they have available to them to add more precision and more detail into the areas of the scene that really matter. Whether that's your hero character, certain parts of the action that you're experiencing, and not focusing on areas that don't really change, or maybe there's some motion blur that's happening. There's no real benefit in adding that level of detail. So it just really allows a developer to be that much more efficient with the power that we deliver.
Would you say this is maybe a way for the developers to kind of it really just allows them to focus a lot of power in areas that they want it to be in, and kind of not in other areas? Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And once again, it's really about how can developers best use all the power that we're delivering to them in the hardware.
Now, we also talked about hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing. It's a lot of words.
It is. Ray tracing has always really been the holy grail in computer graphics. The techniques of ray tracing have been around for many, many years, but we've never actually had the power to be able to do this in real time. And now, with the introduction of hardware accelerated ray tracing with the Xbox Series X, we're actually able to enable a whole new set of scenarios, whether that's more realistic lighting, better reflections. We can even use it for things like spatial audio and have ray trace audio so that you feel much more immersed.
Ray tracing audio, that's the first time I've heard that. That's interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing is, what we're really focused on is really driving that next level of immersion in your gaming experiences. And that applies to both the visuals as well as the audio experience that you have.
Yeah, I mean, ray tracing is one of those things where it's tough to describe. I mean, obviously, we're in an audio format here as a podcast. It's tough to describe, but you need to really see it. And as the texture, it just makes scenes and areas just come to life, right?
Exactly. And with spatial audio, a huge part of it as well is just really putting you in the play space environment, really understanding where the enemies are, or being just that much more immersed. So, there's a lot of new capabilities that developers are going to have with Xbox Series X that they've never been able to do before.
So we have more in a minute, but Jason seems to think this box is going to change gaming forever. Jason reaffirms what we've said on the channel. There is so much more to this box than raw teraflops or raw GPU power. So much more capable overall. And on top of that, you get intelligent rendering techniques like VRS. Not only do you get that extra power from the GPU itself in terms of teraflops, but that is on a newer, more efficient architecture. As Jason says, it is more efficient. Essentially, you get more pixels or frames or both per teraflop, as I explained in my last video. So again, keep in mind that you are really getting this kind of insane power. This is far more power in 2020 than Xbox One X was in 2017. But on top of that, as I mentioned, you are getting intelligent rendering features like VRS that improve efficiency even more. So as crazy as this power is, it's going to seem like even more. Now, when it comes to ray tracing, Jason mentions better lighting. A whole new set of scenarios are now possible on console. That improves lighting, which ray tracing is quite literally the most accurate, most realistic form of lighting, recently possible through NVIDIA's RTX and now coming to console. He also mentions reflections, which are real time. They do reflect everything around you, even if it is not using screen space data. For instance, you can see an enemy running up behind you in a mirror or a piece of glass maybe in front of you. Not possible on console before now. Just one example, but there are many others. And of course, reconfirming ray traced audio, which in my opinion, is much less of a deal. We've had Dolby Atmos for gaming for quite some time, and nobody's ever really mentioned that because Xbox is the only console that does that right now. I think sound is pretty good already, but hey, let me know if you find that feature interesting.
The next feature that we're going to talk about is one that I'm really excited about because I've had a chance to use it in the lab, and that is a quick resume, which is going to be available for multiple games. Explain to folks what quick resume is, because they kind of may read it and think, well, we kind of have that today with Xbox.
Yeah, so we actually incubated some of this technology with the existing Xbox One. Today, you can actually quick resume the last game that you were playing.
Sure.
But with Xbox Series X, we're actually able to do that for multiple titles. And we've basically taken this to the next level of capability. And this is really powered by our custom-built SSD that's a part of the Xbox Series X, which actually allows us to have multiple games saved at any one time. And then I can instantly jump between them or jump into them and resume exactly where I was when I left off.
Yeah, because I got to tell you, I'll probably get in trouble for talking about this. Sorry, Phil, but here we go. One of the things I was noticing when I was in the lab was I was playing it. I was switching back and forth just real quickly and seamlessly between games. But then I had to reboot because I had a system update. And then I went back to the game and went right back to it. So it survives a reboot. That's amazing.
Absolutely. And as somebody like yourself who've been using the Xbox Series X for a number of months, it's almost difficult to even go back to the old way of playing games. Like, it's so transformative.
Yeah.
And if I just want to have a quick gaming experience, I can instantly jump in, have a great time, and then know that the next time I come back, I'll be right where I was.
Yeah, I mean, quick resume, we're all used to our mobile phones and fast tablets and whatnot that just kind of are there, and you're able to go back to exactly where you left off. And that's kind of what this is all about. So instead of having to sit through, I mean, we love our developers, I love our publishers, but all those splash screens at the top, which we love seeing who did the game, but we want to get to play the game.
Absolutely.
To your point about getting into the game faster, this really is kind of enables that vision as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is we're thinking about it holistically across what the experience is in the title and what we can do at the platform level to just really get players into the fun as quickly as possible.
He also places a hefty emphasis on load times themselves, as well as having multiple titles running at the same time. Notice Larry gave us a little bit of a hint of how capable this setup is. Your progress in games can even survive a hard reboot. Now, does that mean you can unplug the system? Most likely not, but it did have an update. Once it was done updating, he was able to continue where he left off with no load time. Let me know what you guys think about that and how many games you think you can have running all at once. And again, it's really a caching feature where they put those games in the SSD while they are in hibernate mode.
Now, one of the other areas that I saw a lot of folks also excited about was smart delivery, which makes sense, I guess, but explain that one, because I mean, once I learned more about it, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of smart.
Absolutely. So smart delivery is really about our vision and our commitment to put the player at the center of everything that we do. And we really want to make sure that players, whether you're playing on an Xbox One or you're playing on an Xbox Series X, you always get the best version of the game that's been tailored for that device.
Sure.
So with smart delivery, when you purchase a game or say you have access to a game with Xbox Game Pass, if you play the game on an Xbox Series X, you'll get the assets, you'll get everything that you need to have a great gaming experience. But then if I choose to actually go back and play on an Xbox One, or maybe you go to your friend's house and they don't have an Xbox Series X, the game moves forward with you and you'll get the version that's optimized for the device that they have.
Right.
So it's really about putting the player at the center of everything that we do.
So it's not downloading stuff that I don't need.
And I'm really excited that CD Projekt Red announced support with Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk's going to be one of the biggest games this year.
Yeah.
And knowing that you can purchase the game this year, and then when you actually buy an Xbox Series X and they release an update, you'll get that automatically.
Yeah. Now, the other area we talked about was the next generation of game compatibility. Of course, with Xbox One, we've got this incredible back-compat story, and it gets better in Series X, doesn't it?
As you move to the next generation, we want all of those games to move forward with you. We want your gaming legacy to move forward, your progression, your stats, your achievements. But not only do we want the games to be able to play, we want them to play better than you've ever seen them before.
Right.
So with the increased power that we have with Xbox Series X, you'll see things like improved or more steady frame rates, no more drop frames, or you'll be running at higher frame rates. Some titles use techniques like dynamic resolution scaling, where frame to frame, the resolution actually changes to maintain that rock steady frame rate.
Right.
With the extra power that we have with Xbox Series X, you'll always be running at the highest resolution possible while still maintaining that steady frame rate. And then you also look at things like the advancements in storage technology and the advancements we have on the CPU. You'll have faster load times. You'll be able to get into experiences much faster. And then, you know, our back compat team is one of the best in the industry, and we're really looking at what new opportunities the Xbox Series X gives us, where we can enhance titles even further than you've seen them before.
I think best in the industry is an understatement. I mean, that team has consistently delivered it time and time again at an incredible rate, haven't they? Yeah, because that's why, I mean, we talked about that when we talked about back compat a few years ago, about how when they were going through the process with back compat, that some of the games have assets that you didn't even know were there or weren't revealed because the consoles back then didn't have enough power to show that resolution or that color palette or what have you. And they're unlocking all sorts of stuff. It's kind of like a digital archaeologist, right? They're finding all these crazy things, aren't they?
Absolutely. And like I said before, they're inventing brand new techniques all the time.
Yeah.
And it's really awesome to see the creativity and the innovation coming from that team. And it's the exact same team that did the 360 compat in the original Xbox compat on the Xbox One. The exact same team is continuing to push the state of the art with the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, there's a lot of news going on here. We talked, of course, we revealed the console in December at the Game Awards. You and I were there together.
Absolutely.
That was exciting, and people got to see it for the first time. And now they're kind of getting some more details. So we're just kind of getting all the great information that we're going out there. We've got a lot more ahead, right?
Absolutely. As Phil mentioned, you know, our commitment and our promise is to be transparent with the community and share details between now all the way through launch. And even though we've shared a lot of information, there's a lot more coming, and we're excited to share more over the coming months.
But hey, I figured I'd bring this to you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. Very, very interesting interview. Again, hit that like button if you learned something today. Maybe subscribe for all of the latest. Once more, the first verbal confirmation of overall power with some details there. Reconfirming RDNA2 architectures, the latest and greatest from AMD. It's not even out on PC yet. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Dealer. I'm out.